Hello, everyone. Welcome in to another episode of the East AlabamaWorks Video Podcast. I'm Carl Brady, the Workforce Program Manager for East AlabamaWorks. And each week we visit with people around the East Alabama region, our Workforce Region 2. And for most of the time, COVID-19 and the pandemic have been our topic, the basis of our topics on here, to give you some updated information and some more information about small businesses, large businesses. As you know, we do workforce development through the Alabama Department of Commerce, and so we work directly with businesses and industries throughout the area, but that also gets us into education programs and training programs and just general programs in the community. So we like to keep you informed of what's going on in your county and here in Region 2. And I'm proud to have with me our guest for today, Deborah Gaither, who's the director of the EMA in Etowah County. Deborah, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you for having me. We appreciate it.
Yeah. What we want to talk about is the Etowah County response to COVID-19. We are now over 3 months into this pandemic. It's kind of unusual to think that we've been in it for so long already. But when this first started happening, how did you mobilize the troops, so to speak, there in Etowah County to start a response to this program?
I think that we got a little bit of a head start. We began on February 21st, 22nd, supporting Calhoun County EMA. We had offered assistance to them, as this is when we heard that Health and Human Services were going to bring those who had COVID-19 to the Fort McClellan location. And we went ahead and offered our services. We started training really fast. We contacted JSU, Dr. Ryan, to be specific, and he came and spoke with our staff on some things that were going on at that time as related to COVID-19, gave us the quick up brief, and we just hit the ground rolling then. We decided, let's not wait. Let's try to get ahead of the game. And I think Calhoun County EMA and Etowah County both got a little bit of a head start because of that. Then in March, we know everything changed, and we started doing business as we do now, unlike we've ever done before. So, everything's unprecedented at this point in time. And like you said, 3 months in, wow, who would have thought that? That it was going to be that way. We worked closely with our elected officials. We had briefings for them in person at that time, gave them briefings on COVID-19 and just what JSU had shared with us, what Dr. Ryan had shared with us, so that we could try to get them up to speed. We did the same thing with our EMS providers, with our dispatchers. There was new language coming through that we needed to make sure that everybody was speaking common language, and we wanted to get ahead of the game on that so there wouldn't be any confusion in response. Fire and law both had to learn some new adjustments and games, and I think all have adapted well. We're still doing some side training on things that we've noticed that we needed to address. I mean, we all always need to improve. And so we've tried to take that on head on and go ahead and do the training that we need to take us through the long haul of this event.
And, and that's the training and the changes, I'm sure, have been interesting to try to keep up with, because some of the advice from the CDC and from medical professionals has changed over the course of the 3 months. And that's simply as we've learned more about this virus. In the beginning, we thought we knew about it, but we didn't know everything about it. We still don't know everything about it. But how much of a challenge has that been, keeping up with the changes in the advice coming from the medical profession?
Right. It has been a job. It's been a big job for our local public health officials, for ourselves, for our hospitals, the guidance that goes out as to response for our law and fire. So we try to stay on top of that too by checking CDC guidance often. There were some more changes today, and they're still talking about changes in whether or not it's airborne or whether or not we should wear face coverings all the time. So there is confusing information put out every day, but we try to stay with the most reliable source that we've found, and that's the CDC and the Alabama Department of Public Health. They've been a real big partner in making sure that we had the most current CDC guidance so that we could give that to our citizens, our responders, our dispatchers, everyone that participates, even at our hospitals. There's so many integral parts to this. A lot of people don't think about Public Works has a part in this. They do. They are in intimate contact with our household garbage. So we try to keep up with the information on that and inform our Public Works departments of exactly what the new CDC guidance may be. Our water departments, they need to stay up to date because they also have to wear PPE. A lot of these groups and responding agencies and entities go into homes or, like I said, a close knit location that they still have to wear PPE themselves. Well, they've never worn it before. So, it's been a learning curve for them. So we just want to make sure that we keep up on that guidance for everybody.
I think that's something very important is to make sure for the general public and the people who are reading Facebook and Twitter, make sure, check the dates on the information that you are sharing or reading, because as the guidance has changed, you may be sharing old information or arguing with someone based on you have old information. I know that people keep sharing the early articles and early things from the CDC from back in March and April when they weren't really pushing face coverings as hard as they are now. And so that's one thing I always try to do when I'm seeing these things on social media, especially, is check the dates. Am I reading and looking at the most recent information available?
Yeah, that's important because on social media, we don't always look at those things, but it does help us if we check those dates and make sure that we're looking at the most available.
Absolutely. What kind of advice have you been giving out in Etowah County right now? We have the Safer at Home order that's has been extended by the governor. Restaurants are open to limited spacing and limited number of customers in, but for most people, they're trying to get back to as close of a quote normal life as they can. What kind of advice do you have for people at this time?
I think I said not too long ago at a city council meeting, we're trying to go about summer as normal when summer is not business as normal now. We have to take precautions and we have to plan differently our family gatherings. We need to be outdoors, but those are the things that we have been encouraging our citizens. Of course, the things that they've been saying from the beginning: social distancing, hand washing, sanitizing when you can't wash your hands, face coverings or mask, either way that you want to address them. But, we just try to make people think through what they're going to do at a family gathering before they actually do it. When we do think through those things and we realize, oh, wait, we got to make some changes. Think about the number of people you're going to have. Think about the location you're going to have them in. Is it adequate enough for you to do social distancing for your entire family? If you're going to social distance, the school systems are now told that, it's going to take up to 36 feet per child to social distance in a day. So if you're going to spend all day together, think about that. And that's a lot of footage when you get a lot of people together.
It is, and it's here in the South we're all handshakers and huggers, and
I'm a hugger.
we've had a difficult time changing those things.
That's right. I am a hugger, and I often forget. I'll go to hug and then, pull back and stop. But yeah, it's going to take some changing in all of our personalities, even, which is something else we need to address, how it can affect us emotionally and mentally.
Right.
We need to make sure that people address that because a good Southern hug makes you healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, being the emergency management agency, you never have just one thing going on at any given time. So this is hit right during the spring tornado season and the severe weather season. So you guys have really had your work cut out for you in keeping up with all the pandemic information and keeping us informed on weather situations as well. Talk about that challenge.
Okay. We had the flooding in February, which we had to start working. Then we had the pandemic to start. And then Easter Sunday, we had 3 tornadoes in Etowah County, all within, just a few miles of each other. And the night that we all responded to those tornadoes, we realized we can no longer respond as usual. We normally met in group settings. We normally, what we called circled up so that we could talk about tasks and responsibilities. And that was not going to be the way we could conduct business anymore. So we had to think through those things quickly and decide how we were going to sign in and sign out and get our responsibilities, in other ways. And we were able to do that. One of the hardest things, I think, was opening the disaster recovery center there in Reese City. We had to make sure that citizens could social distance, that all the providers such as Red Cross, the Lutheran, the Methodist, United Way, 211, that they could all social distance and give a service. And that was really challenging and hard for us. The line, ended up being relatively long and then out into the heat. So we had to adapt to handing out water in line, putting chairs in line because there was a wait for so many. There's been so many aspects that of the pandemic that has changed how we respond, even on a daily basis. We get vehicle accidents all the time that have hazardous material spills. For us, that's diesel fuel, anything like that. Even responding to those on the side of the interstate or on the side of the highway has become a little bit harder because we have to do it from a distance. We have always tried not to have a lot of radio traffic on our handheld radios, but now we're having to go more to texting and handheld radio traffic. So every aspect of how we respond has changed. Some of those responses are now done by just send me some pictures and let me look, which is hard to do because it's hard to really visualize the scene at hand when you're having to look at a photo. So we're just trying to adapt and learn different ways to do things.
You mentioned all those services, and you mentioned several organizations that help you in the times of need like that. I want to bring up VOAD, that is volunteer organizations active in disaster. Etowah County has a very active chapter of VOAD, and I'm on that email list, so I see those emails that come out when somebody's requesting a service or requesting some help. You guys have a tremendous support system there.
We really do. Our chairperson is Craig Scott. He's City of Gadsden Public Library Director, but he has stepped up and done so much for the community and pulling some of these groups together that haven't participated before. And we've been able to provide a lot of, meet a lot of needs in the last few months just through email alone. I know you're on that list and you've seen how many times we've just had a call out for a need or a quick response on something. And so many of our groups, it's churches, it's businesses, groups that are 501c3, so many different agencies that come together to try and meet the needs of our citizens, and they've done really well. They've also stepped up and met the needs of our first responders. As protests and marches have taken place in the last month or so, it's been where our officers or our firefighters that were on scene needed hydration. So water was provided. Water was even provided to those who were protesting because it was very hot and humid several of those days, and we were worried about the temperatures and the well-being of everyone that was on scene, protesters and responders. So we wanted to make sure everybody could be hydrated. And VOAD stepped up and provided the water for those and the Powerade. So we really, really appreciate all of our partners in VOAD here in Etowah County. They're a great bunch.
Now, as we've been seeing in the media, in Alabama and East Alabama and Etowah counties, COVID numbers are rising drastically. And I know those numbers can be confusing at times for the average person. And I personally don't like the way they're being reported sometimes because they don't really, for me, give me what I'm looking for, which is percentages and things like that. But we do know that the virus is here and more people are being tested positive for the virus. So you guys have recently started the push of using a hashtag called Masks Up Etowah. And if you're driving through Etowah County, you might see a billboard or two encouraging people to use their masks. Talk about this campaign and this push that you guys have started.
Yeah, it's one of those topics that are really it's really a debatable topic, whether to wear a face mask or a face covering or not. We at the local EMA believe that there's not enough known about it at this point in time, that what is the harm in wearing a face covering or a face mask until we know for sure. So we just encourage our citizens to do that. And in doing so, we thought we'd start a social media campaign and a billboard campaign to ask everybody just to show us their mask, show us your face covering, using the hashtag Masks Up Etowah, which is, I probably should have left the S out of that, but it's MASKS UP Etowah. Share that on social media. Show us your face covering. Show us your mask. It doesn't have to be something that's constrictive. It just needs to be something that you can wear on your ears or around your neck while that that if you can't be 6 feet apart from other citizens, that you can pull it up. That you can wear it when you can't be 6 feet apart. You don't have to wear it all the time, but wear it when you're in close proximity to people. You're not wearing it for yourself. We know that. But you're wearing it for others. You're wearing it for your family members, your community members. It seems like something so simple that has become so debatable, and people believe that everyone is trying to infringe on their rights, and we're simply not. We're simply trying to do one small step of something that could potentially save someone's life or keep someone from even being affected by COVID-19. What does it hurt? What does it hurt just to do it and try and be a good neighbor, be a good responsible citizen? We were talking about differences in face coverings, and I think I have them. I do. I saw some of the teenage girls the other day wearing the headbands. They wear these wide headbands like this one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And instead they had it around their neck, and they would just slide it up over it was like this, over their nose and mouth. And I thought, well, that's a novel idea. They're really wide. It's really thick. It's made out of that t-shirt material, and it's doubled. So it doesn't have to be a store-bought mask. It doesn't have to be bought from someone who's selling them for profit or non-profit. It can be something that you've already got in your home. Bandana. A lot of men and women both have bandanas. Wear a bandana. Wear it around your neck. A scarf. Wear it around your neck. Just something that you can pull up and put in place for a short period of time, and then take it down as soon as you are out of range of all those that we're trying to protect each other from.
Right. And I think it's important to note as well that we need to remind people to know how to wear them correctly.
That's
I
right.
see so many people who have their mouth covered, but their nose is not covered.
Right.
And I understand that it can be uncomfortable at times and those kind of things. But I believe it was the CDC released some information over the last couple of days that the virus, the reason they do the testing in the nasal cavities is because that's kind of where the virus lives. So if you're leaving your nose uncovered and you're still breathing on people through your nose, that's where most of the virus is in your system. And so it's really important to keep your nose covered as part of your face covering.
That's true. And when you sneeze, droplets don't always just come out of your mouth. It comes out of your nose too. So that's another way that it can escape into the air. I saw a new study that where droplets could stay in the air much longer than we first anticipated. Mm-hmm. So, we're just asking everybody to take every precaution that you can, because the ultimate goal here is keeping people well and getting back to normal. Right. That's got to be our goal, is to get back to normal. This isn't normal. People are calling it a new normal. It may be for a while, but we don't want to forget how it used to be. And so to do that, I think we've all got to take precautions so that we can eventually get back to, being able to walk up and shake someone's hand, being able to walk up and hug someone's neck, singing closely together in church, those types of things. So, we really need to work on that as a community.
You on your social media, you, as part of the Masks Up Etowah campaign, you've got a couple of videos on there for people who still haven't seen a video about how to make your own mask. And you've got that in both in English and in Spanish, and captioned for the hearing impaired. So that's something that people can go take a quick look at as well.
Right. We encourage them to, and we encourage them to share it. We have a relatively large Spanish-speaking population here, so we don't know all of those citizens. So we ask people to go to our Facebook page, Gadsden-Etowah County Emergency Management Agency Facebook page, and to share those videos, the Spanish-speaking one, share with the hearing impaired, with your hearing impaired family members, neighbors, people that we don't personally know, but you may know, and it could be something that could help them too.
Well, as we get ready to wrap this up, anything coming up, any kind of drive-through testing or anything like that, or just some advice if you think you're having a symptom or two and you think you want to be tested or need to be tested, what's the best advice for getting a test? Right.
In Etowah County, if you believe that you have any type of symptom that is related to COVID-19, if you have a temperature, we are doing testing 3 days a week from 8 to 10, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the Etowah County Public Health Department. And you call to make an appointment. It's 256-547-6311. And just call and make an appointment for any of those 3 days. You can also go to Gadsden Regional Medical Center and to Riverview Regional Medical Center. Be seen as an outpatient. They will check you in through a different route other than directly into the emergency room, but they'll take care of you there. We also have some other locations. Super B Pharmacy in Rainbow City is now testing. They are a McKeeson pharmaceutical group, so they're able to test. Then Hoax Bluff Pharmacy is able to test also now, so you could also go there. We have several other locations that if you need to know those, we share those on our social media pages. Also, August the 5th, we're planning a drive-through and a mask giveaway at Antioch Baptist Church on East Broad Street. we want to make sure that we get that information out too. So we don't have the definites on those times yet. So watch our social media pages and the press releases so we can get that out. Another thing we need to think about is in the past we've had cooling centers whenever we've had a heat advisory or a large heat index increase. And we're going to have to change how we do those now. So what we're going to do, and we'll be announcing real soon, is hydration stations, where those are going to be. They won't be at the normal places where we do our cooling centers because some of those places are closed. But we'll be opening hydration stations throughout the city of Gadsden to help during those times.
Yeah, we definitely are getting into the heat of summertime right now, and we are going to have some days that it's going to be quite hot.
That's right.
Over the next month and a half or 2 months. Well, Deborah, thank you for joining us on our podcast today. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Stay safe and stay healthy.
Very good. Deborah Gaither, the director of the Gadsden-Etowah County Emergency Management Agency. Again, Deborah, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And folks, we want to thank you as well for tuning in and watching our East Alabama Works video podcast. Remember to visit us online at all of our social media as well. Just search for East Alabama Works or visit our website at eastalabamaworks.com.